The following episode does not constitute medical advice and is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's like GPS for your life. The Sky Vibe Show. Authentic, practical astrology in easy-to-understand terms. With your host, Judi.Diamond, and professional astrologer, Thomas Miller. Thomas, there's new research, and I thought we have to do this with signs. So this research, apparently, that people become their names characteristically, like a Steve from across the country has the same characteristics as a Steve from the United States, and apparently this research says they weren't like that as babies. And it got me to think, do we look like our signs?
I've always had a name identity. We won't talk about it now, but, some people love their name. They like the sound of their name. I never did like Thomas, and there's a whole story behind it. But with astrology, yes, it definitely is possible that we grow into some of the characteristics of our sign.
I have people saying that I look like a Leo. Obviously, I have big red hair, my mane. That makes sense.
You're easy to spot in the jungle.
Yeah. I think Scorpios are a bit tougher because you Scorpions are very secretive.
Well, they're the ones that are looking at you with those laser eyes and just never stop staring, So, but here's the deal. It's more about your rising sign than your sun sign. The rising sign is the sign that the sun is in at the time when it rises above the horizon, sunrise, on the day that you were born.
So mine is a Scorpion, and I do tend to stare people in the eyes.
Yes. So you have both, and a lot of people do. But just for an example, and I know this name triggers people, please, this is not politics. It's not politics at all. What would you guess Donald Trump's rising sign to be?
His orange face would mean the sun, a Leo?
That hair, right? The Donald Trump hair. Well, he is a very late degree Leo rising.
I want to break this up into 3 signs at a time and make it a 4-part podcast. Is that okay, Thomas?
Oh, yeah. I'd rather do that because it can drone on and on and on if we don't.
We never drone on. We're very interesting.
We could do it with this. We could get there.
All right. So part 1, the 3 signs and their characteristics physically.
All right, before we move on into the signs, I have to say that you must know your exact birth time in order to do this because just 4 minutes can move your ascendant. We talked about our technique. There are some techniques. It's called rectification, where you adjust your birth time to the correct time. But if you don't know, your mom doesn't know, and sometimes mom is wrong, or if it's not on your birth certificate, you need to find the correct time, because if you don't have it, then you might have the wrong sign. However, you could kind of back your way in through what we're going to talk about. So let's start at the beginning. So this is if you have an Aries rising sign. Aries is ruled by?
The Ram.
The Mars.
Oh, Mars. I was thinking of the Ram because we're thinking physically. I knew that. Aries is, can I start over, teacher?
No. That's fine. So when you think of the ram, though, what do you think of? You think of those horns, right? So Aries rules the head and the face and the eyes. Now, my other partner on the Old Soul, New Soul podcast, Robert Glasscock, the thing that turned his head when he was 20 years old, standing in a bookstore in Los Angeles, reading about where his moon is in Aries, that he could have a mole, mark, or a scar on the left side of his face. And sure enough, when he was 9 years old, a neighbor kid was swinging a golf club, and he walked into the backstroke, and he has an invisible little scar on the left side of his cheek.
Wow.
Well, yeah, that's what he was like, okay, I want to know more. Mm-hmm. So it's common for people with an Aries rising sign that they might have some kind of mark on their face. Other things about Aries rising, they have an athletic build. They kind of, I always think of Aries as like Zeus. It's like, yeah. Right? I've got a friend that's an Aries, and he just has all of this. He has the classic shaped head, the big broad shoulders. He's tall, and he just has this strong, godlike appearance. Very attractive, handsome man. Now, one thing they will tend to, now you have the Leo hair signature, but Aries can have a reddish tendency and fair skin. I have a very good friend in Asheville who is an Aries. And you wouldn't think, she doesn't have that big dominant demeanor, but she has the sandy reddish colored hair and fair skin. Very beautiful.
But now you're talking Aries sun, not opposed to Aries rising.
Well, that is, yes. And these go for both. Now, they can be both. I just was saying it tends to be more the characteristics of the rising sign that will carry through. But
interesting. Okay, so you might have a combination of your rising and your sun, as I think I might,
just like
as
you
we
do.
go on.
And I do too. I'm a Gemini rising and a Scorpio sun. I've got both characteristics, but I'm just saying it tilts more toward the rising sign.
Gotcha.
So Aries can be athletic because they are so strong. It's all about power, and so a high forehead and prominent eyebrows and like bright eyes. They're alert and they're there and they're ready to act. A strong jawline is another characteristic.
You are totally describing my dad, and he's an Aries sun.
Wow. See?
I mean, he's got the most gorgeous, piercing blue eyes. He's very athletic, strong.
That's the other thing here. Yeah, is the eyes, the eye contact is always, a Scorpio looks at you and you know you're being dissected. And Aries looks at you and it's like, what are we going to be doing? What are we doing?
Yes.
What are we here for, right?
There's a twinkle. There's like a twinkle in their eye.
There's a twinkle. That's a good way to put it. Exactly. All right, let's go. That's the fire sign. We're going to do fire, earth, air, water in these 3 episodes. So the second one, the earth sign, is Taurus. And see, we get a lot even from the elements. Aries, Mars, fire, out there. A little bit of red hair, not as much as a Leo, not the lion, but, it's taking on those characteristics. It's about the head. Taurus rules the neck area and is earth sign. So we're talking. And
the planet is Venus?
Venus, exactly. So what would you think from that right there? That Taurus, one of the characteristics of their appearance.
They might have a little bit of a belly because they enjoy their food. Am I right?
From the party girl. Well, they also are attractive. Because Venus, right? Venus is all about things beautiful. So typically Taurians are handsome and they are attractive to look at, beautiful as a woman. Some of the other characteristics, they might have, for example, round eyes, and even with that beauty too, just a laid back kind of demeanor. I've got a friend.
Definitely.
I got a friend from Colorado, Hemet. I've talked about him a lot on my podcasts. He is so laid back and just this relaxed demeanor and methodical and slow, and he doesn't get excited about things. And he's a Taurus. He's a prototypical
That's my brother
Taurus.
John.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they can have, in this case, a darker hair. Curly is another character. Curly hair is a characteristic of Taurus. Full round face. Kind of that, like you can just feel the fullness, the roundness, the completeness. Now, another thing that comes with Venus, and this shows up for Libra too, is they can have some kind of, let's say, sensual characteristic. Maybe a little bit of sex appeal to the preferred sex. That little thing like they could have something about their lips or their mouth or something about their neck or something about dimples, just things that might show up that would be like, I'm leaning into this, right, a little bit. But with that, too, they have the stability of Earth. So they have a well-defined neck, just a solid neck area, because that's the focus of Taurus is the neck. It rules also the shoulders, so they can have broad shoulders, sturdy muscles, good frame. Those are some of the characteristics of Taurus. I love the sign of Taurus. It's so
I
good.
noticed the Tauruses that I do know, both female and males, when I'm thinking about them, my friend Laura, even my brother John, even with my brother John's belly, he has, there's kind of like a centered groundedness about them, but a chill one.
Yeah, exactly. Chill is another excellent descriptor. All right, let's move on now to the air sign. We're talking about the third sign in the zodiac, and that's Gemini. That's my rising sign. Now, here again, I think of Dick Clark. You remember Dick Clark? He
did so many things. Yes, of
you
course.
couldn't miss him when we were growing up, that's for sure, and was doing the goodness sakes, the New Year's Eve thing after he had the stroke. So, I mean, he just had longevity, but he also kept his looks.
Oh, good-looking man.
That's one of the things about a Gemini rising is that typically they age well.
Well, you look like you're 20, so, you know.
I look back at even 5 years ago pictures and I'm like, 65. I'm almost 65. And it's like, wow, yeah, the 60s have been a shift. But hopefully, live right and keep a positive attitude, right? And you'll get there.
Also, he was in broadcasting, and he with the Gemini. Of course, that's not the looks wise, but I could see that. My son Leo has Gemini.
So a big friendly smile, just that radiant. Geminis are all about communication. It's ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication. So everything to support that. High cheekbones, a very expressive face, bright eyes, fine, curly, wavy hair, just the kind of hair you like to look at, right? Mm-hmm. They move with grace and ease. They know how to work a camera. Kind of thing.
Find their light.
Yeah, an animated way of talking, using the hands like I'm doing right now. Very thing, right? Lots of gestures. I hit the microphone all the time. So those are some of the ways of defining a potential Gemini rising. If you see somebody communicating like that, you know that, hey, this person probably has that characteristic.
You see them using their entire every inch of their body to communicate.
Yeah.
And you could be a block away going, that could be Gemini there.
Now, Gemini rules the lungs. So there's the air needed to communicate, right? Breathe from the diaphragm, push it out through the lungs. It also rules the arms, hands, and fingers, and co-rules shoulders. So there's that connection again with the body movement, the upper body movement, supporting their communication.
That's crazy. My son's a pianist.
See, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my favorite saying is you can't make this stuff up.
Wow.
You can't.
That is crazy. And he is exactly what you said. I mean, since he was born, he literally has attracted people. As a Gemini, having that Gemini, everybody just loves him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great sign, too.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the last one of this batch, and that's the water sign Cancer, which is ruled by?
The moon, of course.
Luna, exactly. So,
Bella Luna.
Big, full, round, full moon. What kind of face and head characteristics would you expect from Cancer?
A big, round, beautiful face.
Big, full, round, and soft and comforting. Yes. And pleasing, everything that and expressive. My dad had a song that he used to sing, and I still remember, oh, Mr. Moon, moon, bright and shiny moon, won't you please shine down on me?
I love that.
Yeah, my daddy. There's one for you, Dad. But everything about looking up at a full moon is pleasing. It just is soothing. It's comforting.
It's a light in a dark.
Yeah,
it's that nurturing light.
Right, exactly. So that softer face, the nurturing appearance, high cheeks. Cancer rules the chest area. So for men, standing tall, throwing their shoulders back and their chest out. For women, they might have larger breasts.
My mom. And she loved having them.
And actually, if you were trying to identify somebody and you observed those characteristics, either their shoulders back, chest out, or for a woman, larger breasts, you might consider Cancer for that. Mm-hmm. But it is a focus on the chest area. But the main thing about Cancer is just that beautiful, easy demeanor. So that's it for the first four. We'll come back and do Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio next.
Thanks, Thomas.
Subscribe to the Sky Vibe, the podcast, and it's free on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you.